Hi, here's our first episode of Healing by the Forkful in 2026. Today we are having Molly Romero, another certified LEAP therapist, with us today, and we're going to discuss some success stories and some other tidbits that have come along the way. But let me just read the first blurb because I started without it. But hello, my name is Royletta Romaine. I'm the owner of Healing by the Forkful. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm licensed in Massachusetts, and I am a certified LEAP therapist. LEAP stands for Lifestyle Eating and Performance. I help my clients reduce or stop symptoms of inflammation, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and migraines with food, not medication. You can find me on Instagram at Healing by the Forkful, or you can email me at healingbytheforkfulrd@gmail.com. My mini podcast is short and sweet and just to the point. 3 or 4 times a month, I will bring you a new person who has been helped by or helps people with what I call a personalized anti inflammation blueprint. Please send me an email if you have questions or would like to be on the podcast. My hope is to reach as many people as possible and make as many people as possible feel better. So, welcome to Healing by the Forkful. Let's get started. So, welcome back, Molly. Happy New Year.
Hi, Happy New Year, Royletta. How are you?
I'm great. I'm feeling wonderful. So glad to have you back. Um,
Yeah.
just because it's a new year, we're going to have you introduce yourself, say where your practice is, and we start off with that info.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Molly Romero. My practice is Molly Romero Nutrition. I'm located in Little Rock, Arkansas. Um, and yeah, I've been practicing LEAP for about a year and a half now, and practice has been open for about that time. And so it's been really eye-opening and fascinating. I really love being a LEAP therapist.
Fantastic. So you said about a year and a half. Have you been treating LEAP patients for all that time, or is it something that you've kind of moved into since you opened your private practice?
Well, actually, I got certified as a LEAP therapist before I opened the practice, kind of
Mhm.
knowing that was the plan. So I
Mhm.
was able to kind of start right away.
Mhm.
And I've definitely gradually had more and more um, MRT tests or LEAP tests as the practice has grown. So
Perfect, perfect. So tell us, what are the most common issues that you're working with LEAP patients?
I would say IBS is one of the most common ones. I think it's also one of the most effective for IBS. Migraines. I personally did LEAP for migraines and have been able to really pinpoint some triggers. And then overall wellness, I've had a lot of skin dermatitis
Mm,
and joint pain as well. I'd say those are probably the arthritis, joint pain, the main triggers. Autoimmune as well, actually. I've had 4 or 5 autoimmune patients do LEAP and have major success.
so we were talking a few minutes before we got on to this podcast that you had a patient who had done some other testing with another company, and we were talking about her having a rough time getting to see the results, and I just thought that was so interesting. So if you could like tell people just a little bit about that, but about how we really go through the results. We go through show and tell, we do everything, just so that people can see that there are a lot of people who claim to have sensitivity tests, but they don't give you the data. They don't show you really what to do. They just kind of tell you what you want, where we just give it all to you and help you.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it'd been a year or so of me providing LEAP to patients, and obviously we're trained to do this protocol, go through it, set the patient up for success, have options available, kind of teach them how to follow the protocol, and then also the reintroduction protocol smoothly and again, easy enough that you can do it and with the crazy hectic lifestyle that most of us live, and tell them what they can have, not just what they need to avoid. And I had never really seen, I've maybe had 2 or 3 patients, like, come with, like, maybe an Everlywell, like, list,
Mhm.
or, not to name names, but recently I had a patient who was seeing a provider, and they did, a food sensitivity test with that provider. I believe it was an IgG test, and, I hadn't really talked to this patient at that point about food, the MRT, and so when she showed me the results, I was like, "Oh, these are interesting." She's like, "Yeah, I really had to fight for these results, um, because all they did was give me a sheet of paper and tell me to avoid these 6 to 7 foods." It was a lot of it was a pretty big, and, like, I would say some of the main ones, right? Like corn, dairy, wheat, eggs, um, those all-encompassing soy, like
Right.
the
And
big
that
sugar.
kind of makes you wonder because it's like if you didn't want to give me the results and then you're just giving me the top ones, like what did the results look like? Were there actual
Right.
results or were you just
Yeah.
picking things because they tend to be the most common food allergens?
Inflammatory. And
Mhm.
and so she went up to the clinic and got the results and sent them over to me, and I mean, I kind of struggled to interpret them, to be honest, because I haven't been trained on it, but also it didn't make a ton of sense to me about how they recommended to avoid certain things, and obviously there was no gradient or, like, no
Mhm.
score, and so, and she even told me they did not wanna give me these results. I had to, like, knock
Yeah.
down the door to get these. So I that to me was very eye-opening, especially how we present the protocol. We have, I mean, I think the way that, the results are laid out are very, easy to interpret for anyone, as far as you get that, you know, red, yellow, or sorry, like green, yellow, red, as well as a numeric score to kind of assess, okay, these are my
And
main
that's
reactive
so
foods.
important because so many people get results, but um, us being able to hold you accountable and help you work through different products and read food labels and find different ways to eat are key so that we don't just give you the results and say good luck.
Exactly. Um, so and of course she was coming to me for help with this, and I, had little confidence in the test, just to say, okay, well, maybe we can avoid these things and see how you feel. But,
Mhm,
um,
mhm,
if you're open to it, I'd really recommend doing the MRT leap test, because it's just much more thorough. It's not going to just check, I think maybe 20 different foods. It's going to test 176 foods and chemicals. And then, of course, will give us a plan and tell us the foods that are safe for you to eat, so that we're not under eating,
mhm.
and
Mhm.
that you're able to meet your energy needs, and feel better while reducing inflammation.
For sure, for sure. I had someone come to me with a test that I wasn't familiar with either. We just find I just like I have no idea what's going going on with this. Why don't we just do an MRT? And she decided to do one, thankfully. So we'll get her going. But I
Great.
just thought that was interesting because I hadn't come across somebody else um, who had just like random results that you were talking about and not
Yeah.
giving the information. That's where things get a little
It was
shady.
murky. It was
Yeah.
so murky, and I was like, "I really don't know how to interpret it." I feel like these should be easier to interpret than whatever is on this paper. So that was a very interesting thing that has happened in between the last time we spoke, um, for sure.
So let's
Um,
talk success stories.
okay,
You,
sure,
you
yeah.
told us a little bit about what you found that Leap has helped people with, but let's talk about real stories, real people that are walking up and down the street that have had success.
Sure, so I had a patient who had alpha-gal and was really struggling with IBS symptoms, just, like, feeling very depleted and fatigued and often having to run to the bathroom. Um, and she'd had some bad experience with a dietitian in the past, and so wasn't sure as far as, like, what to. I think she was very apprehensive, right, with me, but she did come to me for LEAP specifically, and so we, we worked together, and because of her alpha-gal, we were also able to, use the chemical test portion of LEAP to really help identify safe supplements for her, because she's not just the alpha gal. She has a lot of other sensitivities to
Do you want to explain alpha-gal?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Alpha gal is a tick-borne disease or it's, I guess, a tick-borne allergen that causes an allergic reaction to it's the sugar and meat. I can't think of the name of right now.
No,
But I guess alpha gal, galactose, right?
that's
It's
good, but at least
galactose.
people, yeah,
So,
because it's becoming more and more common. We're finding, I'm in Massachusetts, and
mhm,
so we're off the coast of Massachusetts is the vineyard, Martha's Vineyard,
yeah,
and they're finding that there are a lot of people on that island for whatever reason. Well, I don't know the statistics. I just
right.
know that I've been seeing more comments about
Good.
it
Yeah,
on Facebook and different people that I've bumped into. So I'm not stating that there's an issue on that island. I'm just
right, sure.
stating that I've
It's
heard it more
it's
often
more and more
recently.
common for sure. And I know people can get better. I have some patients that have very severe reactions, and then I have some that are more moderate, but they all have pretty big like severity ranges um, with obviously beef, right?
Mhm.
Um, any mammalian based meats. So, and actually, what's interesting with this patient, her main source of red meat is emu, which is not tested on LEAP, but it was.
That's kind of
I was like, that's
commercial, that
fascinating.
commercial
Yeah, she has like she has an emu farm that she sources from, and it's so fascinating to me. So,
Wow,
and it looks like red meat, you know.
interesting.
Yeah. Um, and it's high in iron. So, but that was one thing that we did. Obviously, we avoided the emu during the LEAP protocol,
Yeah.
but um, it was really able to help us with supplements with the chemicals for her, because she has a lot of other sensitivities like carrageenan and
Mhm.
other um, kind of byproducts, right? So we were able to tailor that and help her with her gut healing. But her LEAP showed a lot of leaky gut, basically, a lot of inflammation in the gut. And so we've been working on healing that. And she is a client whose allergist told her she wasted her money, and he got kind of frustrated about her doing the food sensitivity test. And she was like, this is the best I have felt in years.
Wow.
So, she told me that, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I'm glad I'm sorry that he, of course,
Yeah, you had to go through that, but at least you have
treated
a
you like that,
positive
but I'm glad that you
outcome.
feel better and you
Yeah, yeah.
are
So
happy.
give us an idea of what is she eating now?
Oh
Can you,
goodness, it's
I
been a
I
minute.
know
I'd
you
have to.
didn't.
I
Yeah,
might.
exactly. We're talking success stories over the last year, so Molly doesn't have all of this at the top of her, the top of
We're
her
just
brain
back
right
off the
now.
holidays. I
We
haven't
all
been.
have, yeah, we all have holiday brain, but it's just I'm just so curious, just because the emu just really threw me for one.
Yeah,
So now I'm
it surprised me too. Yeah, it's fascinating. So if you have any alpha gal,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. I'm
Um,
definitely going to talk to you a little bit about it after to get in a little more detail because, like I said, it seems
yeah,
to be something that's looming in Massachusetts. So,
for
yeah,
sure.
definitely want to be able to help as many people as possible.
Um,
Um,
yeah, and so then I have some clients who I've had some really interesting um,
mhm.
um, skin improvements. I guess dermatology, like skin rashes, hives with MRT as well, which I think is just amazing. It wasn't expected, but really had a client who, and I might have talked about this last time, but
It's okay.
she had rashes on her eyes and had seen allergist and dermatologist and had removed all these products from her skincare. And then, once we did LEAP, the next time she came back, she had makeup on. So it was the first time, she's been wearing makeup for the first time in months. And
That was her 2 week period. She felt that great after going through the
did I say
first.
2 weeks? I meant 4 weeks. But yeah, I saw her about
No,
a month.
I was clarifying. You didn't. So I'm clarifying because I want people to have
Oh,
just have a
yes.
good idea
I'm
of
sorry. After her
essentially.
protocol, so it was about a month after she started the protocol, she came
Okay.
back in.
Okay.
Um, I do think she started to feel better within 2 weeks, though. Most of my clients, it's that I think around 2 weeks is they start
Yes.
to really feel better. I think for some clients, they have like a detox, and so it can be a little harder. Personally, mine was kind of hard those first 2 weeks, but then towards week 3, I was really beginning to feel better. But I've had patients feel really good within a week as well. So
I
it's
felt great within a week. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because when I decided that I wanted to do this, I was like, I felt better in a week, but then I had to remember, like, some of my friends were like, just like, well, you felt great in a week, but like not everybody feels great in a week. So that's something else I just really want to reiterate in this podcast, that everybody is individual and they will have different results. Some people will be great like I was, and then some people can take up to six months. But you got
And
to
I
keep
actually caught a cold halfway through mine, so it made it kind of challenging to like during the reintroduction.
Mhm, mhm.
Is that a trigger or is that just me having a cold?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and actually the further out I've gotten, the more I'm more able to pinpoint my own personal triggers. And so interesting story personally. And so I did mine specifically for migraines, and I had gone out with a friend and had a salad and I got a migraine. I was feeling great that day. I got a migraine like before I left the restaurant. And I was like, okay,
Whoa.
it's time to do it. Like it's time to just do the test.
Get back on track. Yeah.
And so again, I've kind of avoided a few things that I feel like I know are triggers that I reacted to, like pecans. And I was eating a ton of pecans last year, and I was having migraine after migraine after migraine. And then, but something I didn't think of that I reacted to, potassium nitrate, is in a lot of smoked fish. And so I had actually brought like a smoked salmon to a family gathering, and literally within an hour of us leaving, I got this horrible migraine. First migraine I'd had since doing the food sensitivity testing, or the LEAP protocol. And I was like, that is so strange. What could it be? I thought it was kind of stress. It had been a stressful time. And I was working on another patient's LEAP protocol then on Monday, and she also had reacted to potassium nitrate. And I was like, oh my gosh, smoked fish. I bet it was the smoked salmon that gave me this migraine. This is fascinating. And so, I've been very hesitant to try anything smoked again. I mean, I've actually had some smoked stuff, but it's more like barbecue versus like, this was like a highly packed, like it was from Costco, like smoked salmon from
Yeah.
Costco that,
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't check the ingredient list. I probably need to go back in retrospect, but definitely was fascinating to me. So
It is interesting. Like I said, I had Mexican food and I love Mexican food. And most of the time I don't, I know I'm not supposed to have corn. So I don't eat the corn chips. But last night I was just like, I really want corn chips. And I'm feeling it today. I'm definitely
right.
feeling it today. So it's, I guess, a good reminder of what's of what's really going on in your body. And I know, so typically I should enjoy all the other stuff and not have the corn chips. I can
Right.
put
And while the goal is to like reintroduce and add things back in, I do think, the blood doesn't lie too,
yeah,
right? So there
yeah,
was probably some residual inflammation going on with those byproducts, or not byproducts,
mhm,
but I'm sorry, with your results, right? Like if
yeah,
you eat those things, you're probably having a little bit of a reaction to it. But ideally you heal the gut, maybe that reaction is reduced.
yes, yeah. It's definitely not as bad as it was when I before I took did this whole leap thing, but yeah, I won't be eating corn chips for a very long
Mhm.
time. All right, so let's talk about a few more patients. Or will you? Yeah, give me another patient. Let's.
Okay, let me think here. I have um well, I have two patients that are starting this week. So I'll be really interested to see how they do. Um, one is a Hashimoto's patient, And so I think, and I've had very good success with my Hashimoto's patients in the past that have done LEAP. So
Oh, wow.
I think just like reducing inflammation and stress. One I have not followed up with, but was really fascinating to me because I've not seen this amount of reds on a client ever, was a younger person who had lupus and came back with 6 reds, and I was like, oh gosh,
Wow.
bless, and so, and because they are so young, we're not doing the whole protocol because it's just too
Yeah.
much. They're in their teens, and so I just don't think
Mhm.
it's just a lot, right? And
Mhm.
they've got a lot going on health wise anyway, so we're just avoiding the reds and the yellows as much as possible, and trying to um, make some adjustments. And so
Mhm.
I'll be interested to follow up with
Yeah.
them, yeah, probably in a month or two to see how they're doing. Because the last time we met, they had just gotten their results back, and we were kind of going over them. So
Mhm.
that was someone I'm anxious to hear from.
So you said you've dealt a lot with people with Hashimoto's. Can you give us some details on some other patients that you've had in the past?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Hashimoto's is a thyroid autoimmune, hypothyroid autoimmunity, where the body, your immune system starts to attack the thyroid molecules. And often these molecules look very similar to gluten molecules. So sometimes they have celiac, they don't always, but a lot of times there is a crossover there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So usually, even regardless, most patients are avoiding gluten if they haven't already. Um, and so, like, what's interesting is my most recent one, she didn't actually react to wheat, but she'd been reacting to gluten for so long, and her antibodies are so high that at this point in time, I don't feel comfortable letting her have wheat.
Mhm.
I kind of want her to continue until we get those antibodies numbers down,
Right. Right.
with starting the protocol. But in the past, even patients who have been avoiding wheat, a lot of times that you will see that they're reactive to wheat anyway.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, because it's such a widespread inflammation, and because you need your gut to be healthy in order to convert your thyroid hormones, free T4 to free T3, um, you can really see a marketable improvement in energy, inflammation, swelling, just within the protocol itself, and
Wow.
optimizing that gut health to
Mhm.
help the thyroid function even better.
Awesome.
Mm,
Awesome.
yeah, and
And
of course, see a doctor. I always am like, go see an
yes,
endocrinologist, right? Like, this is a tool, that
absolutely. We are not medical doctors. We're registered dietitians with
right.
lots of nutrition information, science, evidence-based things. But you're right. You're never to stop or start a medication without seeing your primary care doctor.
Hmm. So, or an endocrinologist in Hashimoto's cases.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Somebody to
Absolutely.
manage that or just monitor it for sure. But like, and this one client in particular, what's really sad, is that her antibodies have been like in the 2 to 300s, but all of her thyroid panel is normal, and so
Wow.
they haven't done anything for her, and so she's kind of been, a little discouraged by that system. So I have kind of a running list of providers that I feel like are good listeners or have been recommended to me by other patients, and so that's
Mhm,
something that we do a lot, is like, okay, go see this provider.
mhm, mhm. Yes,
Uh,
because they have to be open to it for sure. I've been
right.
finding more and more PCPs are willing to take the blood test, allow their patients to take the blood test so they can go straight to the doctor's labs. They're not having to go find um, some other lab that works on its own
Oh,
so that we
that's
can get the
great.
results. It's it's
To
it's
draw the
really
blood
advantageous.
for
So
leak.
they just go to their regular PCP office and they'll go ahead and draw the blood for them because so many of them are like, we're not sure why we're not getting good results. So this is a way to do it. And as you know, most of the time, people who see us, it's
Mhm.
last resort. It really
Often, yeah.
is last resort.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
cool. That's great. I haven't had that yet. Maybe a few, but not I have a place that I send people basically that's a lab draw place, but
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
Cool. Right.
that's
Anybody
awesome.
else? What other stories do you have for us?
Oh, let me think. I'm trying to think who I've done recently.
It can be a favorite that you've had years ago, but well, not years because you haven't been doing it for that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a while ago, like a super
Um,
story that just sticks out for you.
okay. Well, I am thinking. Looking at my list here. Sorry, Roletta. I'm trying to think of who other I've done recently. I have had several that are, obviously shocked by the results, and so some clients have a harder time implementing the protocol.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, don't want to necessarily do it 100%, and that's okay. Like that's totally fine, but it is you're not going to have that
That's harder.
immediate
Exactly.
success, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that's one thing to note is like I do highly recommend it. Obviously, not all clients I feel like are like going back to my other patient, right? Like not appropriate to follow the protocol at this point, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
due to age and other things. I think it would benefit greatly.
Yeah.
I have
Hopefully
another.
they'll start feeling better and they'll start asking more questions, and then they're willing to go um, further into the protocol. Sometimes the people that we see just have had no relief, and they're just like at their wits' end. So
Right,
when they start seeing a little bit by giving a little bit of benefit by getting rid of a few things, they're more willing to go that next step and continuing to um, add things to leave off their list for a while.
for sure. I had a patient. Oh, I have somebody came to mind. I had a patient with cirrhosis,
Mm-hmm.
and we did this, and it was very helpful for her. Um, she cirrhosis and rheumatoid arthritis, and so I guess we did this more for rheumatoid arthritis, but mostly just general inflammation standpoint.
Right.
And
And does she have cirrhosis because of alcohol or because of fatty liver?
alcohol.
Because
And so um, it made a huge difference in her quality of life. And then, she was able to reduce swelling, and then obviously she reacted to like nightshades um, and solanine, and then she reacted to coffee, which was hard. um, but she did it, and she can feel a huge difference. She's like, when I drink coffee, I feel more tired than I do when I don't.
wow.
So it's like things that, it's such a habit people do. You don't even know that you're kind of putting yourself in the cycle of not feeling so good until you take it away and kind of, add it back in. And that was the thing for me is that I had to really shake up my little regimen that I was on. Um, and I've gone back to, some things, but I was able to kind of continue without things and
Mm-hmm.
do really well. Like I don't miss wheat at all, really. I thought I would. So,
Yeah, that's surprising, which is surprising.
mhm.
Because I always find that the most people miss the most are wheat and coffee. Should that be on their
Oh,
list?
coffee's a hard one.
But
Mhm.
then once they get through it, they're like, oh, okay, that's not so bad.
Right. I'm trying to look here, see who else I've had. Um, I had a client, I believe I talked to her about her last time, but she reacted to Apple like off the chart, and at the time it had like 3 or 4 people react to Apple. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a test thing. I don't know, and so
Yeah.
it was red, and so we was like, okay, well, let's
Don't
not
eat
eat
the
it.
apples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she had tried it this summer. She had like apple cider out with friends.
Hmm.
She's celiac, so she doesn't do beer. And she said she felt like she was hit by a truck
Oh
for like
no.
3 days. And then she had something else that maybe had apple cider vinegar in it, and it knocked her out too. And she's like, okay, apple is a real reactive food for me, and I can't do apple.
Wow. Wow.
You know, so it's definitely it's just little things that you would never think of.
Not at
Awesome.
all.
Right?
Yeah, we definitely don't think about those things.
Mhm.
Because again, it's a healthy food, so why would there be anything wrong with it?
Right.
Cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you anything else. I guess we talked a little bit about how long it takes patients to experience improvement, and again, it's just really important that this is just so individualized that some people it can take 5 to 7 days. We usually say about 14 days, but some people it can take up to 3 to 6 months before they start feeling better. So they shouldn't give up. It's so worth it when you're on the other end. I think we should also talk about dosage. Like sometimes you can have a little bit of it if it's a favorite food and you're eating tons of it before. Pulling back from it might be the best thing to do. Best of two worlds, because you can still enjoy whatever food that was, but you'll know whatever your cutoff point is before it starts to bother you. And I guess just listening to your body, and LEAP helps you do it in a more organized way instead of just getting rid of everything all at once. You could just be getting rid of things that aren't going to trigger you at all. It's just better to do it in a just much more organized way.
Yes. I mean, we're an elimination diet. You eliminate all the big ones at once and then add them back in after a month. That's very challenging for a lot of people. You really have to have time. And I'm not saying you don't have to have time to prepare for this, because you do need to take a day or two to kind of like,
Yep.
but we're here to help you with that as well, right? And so get some meal ideas and grocery shop and have things available, like have things at the ready. You don't want to just go into this and have to, okay, I got to go get a snack or I got to go buy lunch now. Like it's not going to work that well if you do that. So you still have to have a plan. However, with the elimination diet, you do have to avoid all the big ones that are so widespread in many foods. And with LEAP, that's not necessarily true every time. I mean, I've had clients react to a lot of the big ones, and
Right,
that can be
right.
challenging. But
But we're also here to help them get through that. If that is the case, some
exactly,
people are just cutting things off and they have no idea what to replace them with or anything like that. So
exactly,
this is
and we'll have
definitely
alternatives that we're not reactive, so that we can again set them up for success, and have a plan in place.
awesome. Awesome. Anything else you'd like to share before we go?
I don't. I think that's all. I think it's been great talking to you, or that it always is.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Molly. And to our listeners, thank you again for listening to another episode of Healing by the Forkful. And remember, don't go it alone if you have some concerns, if you're worried about possible food sensitivities or general nutrition. Make sure you see a registered dietitian. Um, don't go it alone, because there's so many people who are missing out on nutrients that they need, that we can help you get what you need and solve some problems. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, Molly.
Bye. Thank you.